In my work with young players or players who are older but cannot perform at a certain level on the tennis court, I often recognize a very similar pattern. A playing style that is far too aggressive and bears no relation to the player's actual abilities. The reasons for this and what can help counteract it are outlined in this video. The transition from our future tournaments to the 75K Challenger went smoothly, but of course it involved a lot of organizational effort. Compared to a future tournament, the requirements for a Challenger tournament are not so easy for a small team like ours to master. However, thanks to the lessons learned from the Challenger tournament last November, a certain routine was already noticeable. The entry formalities for live streaming also went smoothly this time. Sebastian Sorger played his first tournament this year. Unfortunately, it was only one match. He lost in the first round of qualifying at our Challenger here in Soma Bay. Every defeat hurts, but I would have been delighted to see Sebastian play longer, especially here in this tournament. Yuri Rodionov played in a Challenger tournament in Portugal, where he lost in the second round. Slava Belinsky was once again at the start of a future in Antalya. He also bowed out in the second round. So, from a sporting perspective, it wasn't a good week for us. But the year is still very young. But now back to the topic of why many players play too aggressively for the actual skill level. I like to refer to this issue as hiding behind the mistake. I think that all people basically want to present themselves in a good light. Of course, this is no different on the tennis court. And overly aggressive behavior may seem impressive at first glance, but this impression fades away very quickly and even faster among experienced observers. A crucial question is what each person defines as good skills. I can only answer this question from my point of view, and my general answer is consistency. And acquiring this consistency is a hard-earned skill. And for various reasons, many players like to avoid this work. One reason is often not having the ability to execute many balls with the required quality in a technically clean manner. Another reason can be found in a lack of fitness. And another very important reason is the mental aspect when someone is not prepared to withstand the pressure over a long period of time when the rally becomes longer. Regardless of which of the reasons listed above you consider to be the cause, each of these reasons require one thing: a willingness to work hard and consistently over a very long period of time. However, there are exceptions to this rule that should be mentioned and taken into account. Some players have talents that are unique in a certain way and shift the rules that are considered fundamental. But it is precisely these exceptions that are often taken as role models by players who are not prepared to take the hard route. It can be assumed with a high degree of certainty that this exceptional ability is most likely not present here with the player. For a player, it takes courage to admit where their shortcomings lie. If you are used to hiding behind your mistakes by being overly aggressive on the court, it can be very difficult to break out of this pattern. And this step can only be taken through honest self-analysis. A coach usually recognizes this problem and will point it out to the player, but very often the player is not ready to face this reality. As mentioned in my last video, every person creates their own reality, and removing someone from this perception is certainly difficult and time-consuming. As a coach, you may lose your job if you don't achieve success without having had the time to address what is really necessary and important. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.